Welcome back at 9:32 here on Live Impact News. We're talking about back to school now with a lot of our South Carolina students heading back for a first day today. And after school activities just as important as well because they offer great opportunities for kids. But before parents sign those registration forms, are you asking the right safety questions? A few simple questions can reveal whether a program is truly prepared to protect your children when something goes wrong. Joining us right now from Lever and Ecker Law Firm is Kate Henderson, an injury attorney and safety advocate. Kate, thanks for joining us here this morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here, Jane.
Good morning to you. So many parents are focused on their schedules, happy to get back onto a schedule, and conveniences certainly when signing up for these programs. But what do you say that's being overlooked?
So there's a number of questions that should be asked before we send our kids to any program, right? So as parents, as guardians, we have to do our due diligence to make sure we're putting our kids in a position where safety is taken seriously. So there's three, larger bodies of questions you want to ask about that really drill down to safety, supervision, and communication. The biggest question that I always tell parents and guardians that they need to ask is to tell me about a time that an incident or emergency occurred and who debriefs following an accident, right? So basically you're asking them to tell you about something other than a hypothetical, right? And how they addressed it in real time.
Okay, so you're looking for a little bit of a history, a little pattern, and really just the truth. So what red flags then should parents be thinking about when looking at some programs?
So evasive or defensive answers, right? You want to make sure that the program is going to be very straightforward with you and transparent. Anything other than that is a huge red flag. You want to make sure that background checks are being performed, something more than informal background checks. So you want background checks on a federal level, the FBI background check, the National Sex Offender Registry check, all of those because people are going to be in contact with your children. You also want to look for written emergency plans, which is something that all licensed programs should have in case of a active shooter situation, weather like fire, flood. You want them to be able to point to a specific written plan that they can show you of what are the steps that are taken.
Okay, so how can you tell, let's start here at the beginning. How can you tell if the supervision levels are actually adequate, even after you do the background checks?
So supervision levels, you want to make sure that the adult to student ratio matches up with whatever is required by your jurisdiction, right? So it can vary state to state, and it can vary depending on the type of program and the age of the children. So here where I am in New York, typically for school age children, the correct ratio is 1 adult per 10 children. But again, that's subject to vary depending on the type of situation it is. So you want to make sure you're contacting your local health department or whatever entity it is to confirm those ratios, to do a little bit of your own research, and then make sure what you're being told by the program aligns with that.
Okay, and then when it comes to that emergency plan, like you talked about, so we're talking anything between, some like violent situation to a medical emergency to allergies. Should that type of plan be written somewhere?
It should be. So most licensed programs are required to have written emergency action plans. They're called EAPs, and they have to be very specific. So again, broken down by the type of situation, whether it's a medical emergency, fire, flood, active shooter. But the program should be able to have, they're required to have written plan. So they should be able to physically pull them out and show them to you. If they are unwilling or unable to do that for any reason, that is a big red flag.
All right, and then when it comes to field trips or transportation, that's a whole nother category, isn't it? They have their own risks.
Yes, certainly. The risk, can increase for an incident happening, right, where you're transporting children. So the most important thing to note there is that the staff to student ratio should go down when there is a field trip or something off premises. You want to be asking questions about head counts, right? How many adults will be there? How many children will they be responsible for? How often are the head counts going to be conducted in terms of the transportation itself? What kind of transportation? Is it a bus? Is it a van? What are the licensing requirements for the drivers? Are there seat belts that are available? These are all the types of questions you want to be thinking about. And before you sign that registration, you want to be asking these questions to the appropriate person.
And if, God forbid, something serious does happen, if an incident does happen, what should parents expect in terms of communication and getting their child back?
So, absolutely. In today's day and age, there's absolutely no reason that there should not be instant communication, whether it is an email blast or a text blast. There should be a way for the program to immediately contact parents and give them an idea of what's going on and, some kind of reunification plan, right? So, where are you going to be meeting the children? In the midst of potential chaos, what is the sign out protocol? You want to make sure that children aren't just being released to anybody, that it's going to be to the parent or guardian that is, appropriate. So it's very important, again, before a situation like this arises, that you have answers to these questions.
All right, Kate, anything else that we should know or parents should think about before they sign their children up for any kind of activity?
I always like to tell parents, trust your gut, right? We as parents, as guardians, we know, what's best for our kids, but always verify. And if you're ever in a situation where your child has been hurt or there's been an emergency and you're not sure what to do, you can always call an attorney and, get some guidance about what your rights are as a parent and how you can best advocate for your child.
All right, good advice. Kate Henderson from Lever and Ecker Law Firm there in New York. Appreciate popping in here for a live Impact News conversation. Very important these days when kids are going back to school. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Jane. Take care.
You too.